Welcome to all of you, there we go, thank you, who have made the distant travel from the East Coast to the far West Coast of the United States in order to be with us. My name is David Neff, class of 1969, Parsons College. Our committee has worked long and hard to bring you together here, and so we'd like to move through the program and do it as efficiently as we can. And since Dr. Tree, our marshal, is here, we want to start on time and keep things moving. We want to be here to remember, recognize, and reward Parsons College excellence. We had a dream, we had a plan, and now it's time to give thanks as we bring folks back to the community so they can be rewarded for their efforts. I'd like to present to you Mayor Pro Tem Myron Gookin from the City of Fairfield to extend a welcome at this time. Myron Gookin, please.
Good morning, everyone. It's a real privilege to be here today, an honor to be here today, and to welcome you folks back to the city of Fairfield for this great ceremony. As some of you were perhaps struggling to get out of bed and get to those early morning classes at Parsons, I was growing up about a block south of the campus at 607 North Main. And I got to tell you, I have had just wonderful memories over the years of Parsons College as I was growing up in the 60s and 70s and lived so close to campus. In fact, my parents, when I was pretty young, rented out a room in our house to Parsons students, and for a few years we had guys living with us in our house that were going to Parsons College. And you can't imagine how cool I thought it was as a young man to be laying on the living room floor with these guys in their Parsons letter jackets watching television with me on the black and white television. Of course, you could only get one channel, but what a great memory that is for me. Also, I remember the homecoming parades, the football games in Bloom Stadium. I remember my parents dragging me to the Fry Thomas Fieldhouse to see Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians. I was not a big fan of Fred Waring at that time, but you know, I went away that evening being a bigger fan of Fred Waring. I just remember all of the great events at the Fieldhouse and at Parsons College and the kind of culture that Parsons brought to Fairfield. Those were great years for me. I have a lot of great memories of Parsons College, but of course my memories pale in comparison to yours. I was just a kid growing up down the street as you were there getting your college educations and making a lot of memories and friends for a lifetime. I hope some of the fond memories of your Parsons days are about not just the campus, not just your professors, maybe not just your activities, but are about this town, about the town of Fairfield. You may have graduated from Parsons and left Fairfield many years ago, and many things have changed, but one thing has stayed the same, besides Lee Gobble, wherever he may be, and that is the spirit of this community. Fairfield is still a vibrant, exciting place filled with involved, caring, forward-thinking people who take great pride in their community. We remain forever proud of the legacy of Parsons College and the accomplishments of everyone that attended Parsons and considered Fairfield to be home, even if it was just for a few short years in their lives. And we're especially proud of the remarkable accomplishments of those we're about to honor here today. We think, we hope, that Fairfield will always hold a special place in your heart, as you hold a special place in our hearts. On behalf of the City of Fairfield, congratulations and welcome home, friends.
At this time, those of you who were with us a year ago had an opportunity to realize that many of the artifacts of Parsons have been saved, including the Barheit organ. And if you will look up, you can see illuminated on both your left and right side, the pipes are being installed. And at this time, I'd like to have an annual update from John Connett. This is a gentleman who has volunteered his time. He dismantled the organ piece by piece before Barheit Chapel was raised. He inventoried them, they had them stored. and now they are being reinstalled in this Stephen Sondheim Theater. And Mr. John Conant will give us a brief update at this time. You actually get to see part of what his workings are here. So, John Conant.
I present to you the skeleton of the council. That's not where most of the major work has been done. I was looking at my calendar of what I had accomplished this year since the last time that I spoke to you. And I realized that the box that contains pipes up on that side, it has a bunch of doors that open and shut. That wasn't even in place. And that's where I used a tremendous shoehorn to put my 9-foot box into an 8.5-foot hole. And since then, I have put many pipes in place. This is one of them. And I've also come across an interesting problem. That is a very soft tone. And later on, I went up and actually tuned some of the others up above. When this instrument was tuned, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was tuned at about 85 degrees, maybe 90 degrees. And what happens with sound is that as the temperature goes up and down, the velocity of sound increases or decreases, which, since the wavelength is determined by the length of the pipe, something has to change when the temperature goes up and down, and that's the pitch. So as the temperature goes down, the pitch also goes down. So all of these pipes were down a little lower than they should be. And the way that you change the frequency is there's a little collar on most of these pipes that you move up and down. And so I needed to move this collar down in order to bring the pitch up to the temperature that we will be having most of the time, which is around 70 degrees. And the problem I encountered was, this is too long. And I had to go back in and actually cut off the tops of many of these pipes before I go on. So it's just one of those jobs that all of a sudden something comes up and I have now added another 100 hours to the process. This is some renders that came out of some of these side doors. This was on the back side of the stops came on the front side. And all of this is all mechanical side. And oh dear. I think it's actually, well, let's say, we replace our electronic devices. And this is the device that will go on the back side of this particular keyboard. And did I? Okay, I didn't do homework. I have one of the displays that will eventually end up in the main board here with the new towers on that. In the back is massive wires, and I haven't got the components, the computer components that will eventually be in the console. They have not been shipped, but they are ready to be shipped. And after adding some 500 wires to this and 500 wires to the accessories that are up in the lofts, we will be able to actually play a tone. I will now go upstairs and attempt to give you a show. A sonic show.
This is a labor of love. John has not received one dime in compensation. In fact, he is dipped into some of his own funds in order to make this happen. He's just a passion that he has. Besides this, he has repaired the clock on the steeple at the Jefferson County Courthouse that no one else seemed to understand the workings, and he has put that together. This is his retirement project. He's here Monday through Friday, usually for 2 hours in the morning, takes an hour or two break, and then he comes back in the afternoon. It's a passion, and he's doing a wonderful job of bringing this instrument back to life for all to enjoy. He said he had to climb a catwalk, so we'll listen closely here as he comes back. While we're waiting for John, you may have noticed as you came in at the register. Oh, are you ready, John?
I am.
Okay, go ahead. Phantom of the Opera from the balcony, or from the...
The pipes that I will be playing are in the choir chest, which is this big box that's up here. And I see that some of these going, oh, that happens. They are the softer pipes, and so it will not be that loud a sound. And most of the louder pieces are the pipes that will be exposed in front of you on the two openings. And they will be played in different ranks. I can't do that at the moment. There comes. And agreed. Good tuning to be done. Some of the bottom notes that I can play.
We do have some low sounds there. John, I think you've done a wonderful job, and let our alumni thank you at this time for all the efforts you put into this, and maybe a year from now or so we can hear this. Thank you very much, John. We had a dream, too. 150 years ago or so, General Lewis Baldwin Parsons had a dream. He dreamed that if he built a college, offer people the opportunity to get an education, that people would come. Through the help and assistance of his son, his dream became reality. In 1955, Dr. Millard G. Roberts arrived in Fairfield, Iowa. He too had a dream. He dreamed that if he could turn on and put together and build an existing small college into an institution of higher learning and include an expanded curriculum, hire top-notch professors and PhDs, pay them well, provide a tutorial program to help the margins to pass grades, launch a coast-to-coast admissions department, and bring in a top-notch entertainment and improve upon the athletic programs, and remain open year-round with a trimester system, then people would come. Well, as we all know, what happened to that dream? But he did dream it, and he did build it, and yes, the students came to Parsons College by the thousands. In the early 1990s, Susan Bates Kessel and her friends had a dream. They dreamed that someday, somehow, if they could muster the funds and means, they would like to build a major arts and convention center in Fairfield, Iowa. Promote it as a regional attraction. Bring in fine entertainment, fine arts, and fine cultural activities. Then people would come. $7 million, and a number of years later, their dream became a reality. And here it is, standing before you, your very eyes. And a year ago in September, several of us from the Parsons College Foundation Fund family put our dreams into words and made a commitment and backed it up with a plan. If we could only locate former Parsons students and graduates who have gone on to an exemplary or distinguished careers, wouldn't it be sensational to bring them back to Fairfield, to remember them, to recognize them, to reward them for the successes they have had, the examples they have set forth, and the recognition they have brought to the memory of Parsons College. We thought with the advent of the Parsons College Alumni Hall, right the backdrop to your registration table, a home, and the Parsons College Alumni e-News to communicate, that if we offered the opportunity and we built it, that they would come. Guess what? Here you are, the very first class of the Parsons College Wall of Honor. There's a certain stigma that characterizes the state of Iowa. When you make the commitment and mutter the words, if we build it, they will come. Magical things happen in the aftermath of watching as they come. Of all these dreams played out, some better than others, some lasted longer than others, but today, via the creation of the Parsons College Wall of Honor, we are most happy and delighted to be inducting our very first class of 9, the class of 2009, to the Wall of Honor. We trust that this will be an annual event, the first of many. The program is well defined in your Parsons College Wall of Honor program, which you should have received at the registration table. There are many more qualified and deserving candidates out there than we can count. And this year, year number 1, we are so proud to be bringing these 9 distinguished Parsonites back to their Fairfield campus and mounting their plaques permanently to the Wall of Honor for all to see and all to remember. There are 84 more 8x10 treasured spaces on this Wall of Honor. So, the challenge is to you. Spread the word. Who are your colleagues? Who are your friends, fraternities, sororities, others that you know that have gone on and accomplished wonderful things as our inductees have today? Let us know. Communicate with us. We would like to include them in the pool of names for next year's presentation. To all of those who helped make this happen, we give our sincere thanks to you, and you know who you are. It's a proud day for the memory of Parsons College. Thanks for being here, and congratulations to all. We're going to move the organ back to its home, and we'll bring a couple chairs on. We will continue with the program. As you came into registration, you may have noticed there was a brick, a paver on the table, and as you get ready to exit, not the doors that you may have come in, but the main entry doors to the atrium, you will see the first round of bricks that have been installed against the far left wall as you leave the main atrium. And we have a number of people that have made contributions and donations to this. If this is something that is of interest to you, there are cards that you can use at that time. So please take an opportunity to look, see, and if you feel so moved, your support is greatly appreciated. A lot of people have traveled a distance, but I think we need to recognize those who have come as far as the number of years that they have been here. So if you are present, I'd like for you to stand as I call your name. Please hold your applause until finished. And we're working from the 30s and the 40s. So 1946, Dean Gabbert. 1941, Evelyn Gamreth. 1936, Lee Gobble. 1946, Vera Young. And 1948, Dorothy Bell. So if those folks could be recognized for their longevity. And I invite you to stay standing, please, and invite the rest of you to stand because we have a little song for you called the Parsons Fight Song. So please stand. Thank you very much. At this time, we will move forward with our initial wall of inductees. I'd like to share a comment on our first inductee, Obie Nelson. A friend just got off a bus and was walking to campus to seek admission. Along the way, a car stops and a guy yells, "Hey, you need a ride to campus?" The kid says yes. The thoughtful and considerate driver was Obie Nelson. What a great guy. And, oh, by the way, the kid was 6'4" and invited to join the tryouts for the basketball team. Presenting posthumously for Mr. Obie Nelson, class of 1946, I'd like to welcome his son, Dick Nelson, to the stage, please. Welcome, Dick.
Thank you
so
very
being with
much.
us.
Just in behalf of OB and the family, I want to thank everybody very much. It's pretty special 40 years after his death to still have people thinking about him as much as we do. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate this, as I know the whole family does. Thank you.
We'd like to welcome the rest of the Nelson clan to please come on stage for the presentation of the plaque. Any and all Nelsons, please come up to the front. We'll step right out here. It's not in there, it's all of them. All of them, they're all, okay. Wonderful. Have you and Bob and Mel also on the side. We'll take a photograph and turn it around. Oh. Now let's get a reflection. Come on around on this side to sort of balance it out. You can. And we have Cindy and Sarah and Kate, Marilyn and Bobby and Dick. So the Nelson clan is all present to honor their dad, Obie Nelson. Okay, everybody set? Thank you very much. Back in the mid-late 40s, if there was a fight going on anywhere in Fairfield, a scrappy kid named Verl Whittington was probably in the middle of it. That scrappy kid who battled his way through a tough childhood in Fairfield also battled his way to a tremendous successful business career. Presenting Verl Whittington posthumously, class of 1952, is his daughter, Kathleen Whittington. Please join me.
Thank you very much. First, I want to say that I've been to a lot of towns in Iowa, even though I live in Florida, and your vibrant, eclectic town here with the values of the Midwest, and still, I mean, you even have a city off the grid. It's amazing. Fairfield is just amazing. I'm Kathleen. I'm the oldest daughter. My parents, Pauline and Burl, have 4 other boys and a girl. Mom was raised down the road in Melrose, and Dad was born and raised here by a single mom. Everything he said is true. My parents taught me Midwest values, and I'm sure that Parsons College and Fairfield were great contributors to the way they think. In our family, you don't lie and you don't cheat. Lee Gobble, when my dad thought that there was a possibility of him going to a college, he went to Lee Gobble and he said, "You know, Mr. Gobble, if you give me a job, I think maybe I can afford to go to Parsons College. So Lee Gobble gave him a job in the store, and then Dad graduated. And he went back to Lee Gobble, and he said, you know, Mr. Gobble, if you could get me a job in Iowa City, I think I could take a crack at the law. Not many on us lawyers out there, but my dad was one of them. But he was from Fairfield, Iowa, and he went to Parsons College. That's about all I have to say. I do want to thank you again for being Parsons College in Fairfield, Iowa. Thank you very much, and I'm going to present my mother, Pauline, the plaque.
Like,
She's
step over to the middle here. Step right over here. Dr. Robert Tree will present to you folks, and then we'll turn around so we can get the pictures coming through. Why don't you stand here in the middle next to Dr. Tree? Over this way a little bit? You move it. Okay. Set. Congratulations and thank you very much. It's been rumored that our next honoree has a collection of Parsons memorabilia equal to that the Carnegie Museum has in its museum. Following today's ceremony, Museum Director Mark Schaefer, who is in attendance today, will be on a plane, he didn't know he was going anywhere today. Following today's ceremony, our honoree will be on a plane heading for Richmond to check out the museum that is in Richmond, But we would like to welcome this time and introducing and presenting Senator Alan Paul, class of 1967, is his good friend and fraternity brother of mine, Richard Corns. Richard.
That was one of those days. Alan and I arrived on a campus in 1960 at Howell Military School. We graduated from there, wondering where we were going to go to college. And our geometry teacher had graduated from Parsons in 1943 or thereabouts. So we ended up here in 1963. 50 years probably we've been friends, and what an honor it is to have this opportunity to be a presenter to him for this honor. He arrived in campus, he engrossed himself in the activities here at Parsons. You can read everything that he's done. Great friend. He loves Parsons College. And I'd like to present Senator Alan Paul.
As a politician, I just can't resist saying something. You can't say a few words to a politician. But anyway, I want to thank you all, and I've been thinking about coming back. I don't know why, but it's been on my mind to come back and drive through and see what Parsons College looks like. The last time I was here, and that was 1967 when I pulled out. Lived right down here on the square. I would have to say that one of the things about Parsons that is kind of astonishing is that so many of us stay in touch. I was a member of the Teak fraternity, and this past week I would say I've heard from 10 fraternity brothers that were happy that I got this award and so on. And we do still play baseball together, believe it or not, in the group Age Over 60 in Arizona, and that's always a lot of fun to see people then. And I'm so glad to see O.B. Nelson's family and his son. I enjoyed O.B. very much down at the field house and with Joe Lutz and the rest of them. It was quite an experience. Thank you again for being so kind to me and my family over the years.
How O.B. Nelson missed inviting our next inductee to Parsons basketball tryouts remains an unsolved mystery. But they did become friends. They became co-workers following his graduation in 1965. Here to present Dr. Edward J. Rogalski, class of 65, his fellow fraternity member, John Blackstock.
What a great day for Parsons College. What a great day for the alumni, the students, the anticipation for what's to come in the future with all these walls of honor that we have going. And I'm just so happy to be here and to be a part of it. Having said that, when I first met Dr. Edward J. Rogalski, now President Emeritus of St. Ambrose University, his name was simply Ed. He was just another kid from New Jersey, a kid from Manville, New Jersey. I called him Eddie because we always liked to add a little flavor and compassion to the names of the guys that we liked. Eddie was a tall man, and I remember like it was yesterday that he had this noticeable bounce in his step. He always seemed to wear a smile from ear to ear, and he radiated a certain special air of confidence. Eddie was truly a happy man. Personally, I couldn't understand why he wasn't down at the Fry Thomas Fieldhouse working out with the Parsons basketball team, and I thought, could it be that O.B. Nelson let one slip through the cracks? Well, Ed had other plans. Although he joined the Phi Sigma Epsilon fraternity as a social member and drank a beer or two with the rest of us, Ed was on a mission. He was on a mission to learn and to take advantage of the many educational opportunities that Parsons College offered at the time. And he did just that. While doing so, not only did Ed gain the respect of his peers, classmates, and fraternity friends, but he also caught the eye of the Parsons College administration. Upon graduation with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Social Science and Education, he was offered a job at the college as the Dean of Men. He accepted and continued his move forward. Shortly after, Ed was promoted to Assistant Dean of Students. And in addition, Parsons provided Ed the time and the means to earn a Master's of Student Personnel Administration and Doctor of Higher Education degrees from the University of Iowa. But it was during his tenure and learning experiences from Parsons College, both as a student and as an administrator, upon which the foundation was laid to pursue what resulted in an incredible career in higher education. You see, Ed took with him more than just a college education textbook style. He witnessed firsthand the rise and fall of Parsons College. He learned the do's and the don'ts of overextending a college financially, growing too big, too fast, and the deadly pitfalls of what an ever-imposing ego can do to the overall complexion and future of an otherwise excellent college program. After wrapping up the master's and the doctorate in 1968 in Iowa, Ed not only walked away with 2 more degrees, but he also met and married wife Bobby and was inundated with a plethora of job offers. I believe he had 15 interviews and he had 15 job offers. He accepted the offer to become the Dean of Men at St. Ambrose College in Davenport, Iowa, and little did he know at the time, but that acceptance would launch a 40-year career at St. Ambrose, 20 of which Dr. Rogowski served as president. Much like Parsons, he moved up the ladder quickly and he took St. Ambrose with him. He established academic excellence, heading 44 academic programs, including the school's first doctorate program, and he guided St. Ambrose to unprecedented levels of higher education. During his presidency, the roll increased 44%. The endowment growth soared 650%. All the while, he maintained financial stability, reporting 20 consecutive years of balanced budgets, and most notably, he helped raise $50 million in capital over an 8-year period. Under Dr. Edward J. Rogowski's leadership, he took St. Ambrose from a small Midwestern college to university status. Although now retired, Dr. Rogowski continues to serve St. Ambrose as President Emeritus, assisting with special projects, fundraising, alumni outreach activities also. He has remained active in the Quad Cities community, serving in various leadership roles for a number of major community initiatives, too many to mention. However, we would be remiss if we did not mention Dr. Rogowski's involvement as the chairman of the 2008-09 United Way campaign, his supporting role in the local museums and cultural activities, and his appointment by the mayor of Davenport to lead the creation of a scholarship program guaranteeing local high school graduates the opportunity for free college education. Some of the other honors bestowed upon Dr. Rogowski include being named Knight of St. Gregory, the highest papal honor given to a layperson. He's been named Outstanding Business Leader. He's been awarded honorary doctorates from Loras College and Morningside College. And in 2008, St. Ambrose awarded Ed and wife Bobby, honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degrees. But perhaps the greatest honor and footprints that they will leave behind are the Ed and Bobby Rogowski Presidential Scholars Program at St. Ambrose, which was set up to benefit the students, those students exhibiting the highest potential of academic excellence. And lastly, the Rogowski Center. The Rogowski Center, built on the university campus to be the focal point of the community and campus events. Both are named in their honor and in appreciation for their service and their commitment to St. Ambrose University and the city of Davenport, Iowa. Ed and Bobby are the proud parents and grandparents of 5 sons, 5 grandchildren, and today I proudly present to you Dr. Edward J. Rogowski. Congratulations on your career successes, your run to the Parsons College Wall of Honor, and from one alumni to another, I say, great job, Eddie.
I believe half of what he tells you and all of what you see. John, thank you for that very kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a special privilege to be with you here today. I often told my students at the time of their graduation, the president always gives a charge to the graduates, that somehow we're all entwined in a destiny. And I think that was so true of my coming here to Parsons College. in 1964. My dad had an injury that took me out of school for a while. My high school principal learned of Parsons recruiting in the area and gave them my name.
On a recent phone conversation with our next honoree, we were instructed to call him back the next day, but not between the hours of 12 and 3, because he'd be attending a Kiwanis meeting. After all, our 94-year young Wes Bartlett had no intentions of breaking his 62-plus year record of perfect attendance, a record just to not break for a phone call. Before I have our presenter come up, I'd like to recognize a fellow colleague of mine, a Parsons graduate, 1973, and a long-term friend, a coach, Ray Ham, if you would please stand. Ray is the one that brought Mr. Bartlett's name to our attention. He said, well, you're putting this Wall of Honor together. He says, there's a fellow up in Algona, written up in our Kiwanian magazine you might be interested in. So Ray, thank you for bringing it to our attention. At this time, I would, for the Mr. Bartlett, class of 1938, unable to attend today because of medical issues, our Parsons College Wall of Honor plaque will be presented by our co-chair of the event today, Mr. John Braidwood, class of 1968. John.
Well, what an absolute delightful day, and I want to tell you very quickly that I'm so delighted to have the special privilege of introducing our next inductee. He's a 1938 graduate of Parsons College, and today he lives in Algona, Iowa. And as Dave just told you, he is 94 years young. He said to me in a telephone interview, when I went to Parsons, there was a little building on the north side of the football field, next to the timber, called the Shack. It was owned by 3 students, and I was one of the 3. 1/3 interest in the Shack cost me $50. It was a one-room shack with a double bunk bed, a study table and chair, wood-burning stove, and a small counter for a wash basin and a bucket. The only public utilities that we had was electricity. Every day we went to the library to get a bucket of fresh water, which to wash our hands and our face. We heated the building with wood from the timber lot that was next to the shack. And of course, the wood-burning stove wouldn't hold a fire all night. So in real cold weather, many mornings they woke up to a bucket of water that had frozen. And before they could use it, they would then melt the ice, and they would, when he maintained that we went to the gymnasium on the other side of the football field to shower and exercise. It was truly primitive living, but boy, did we have fun. I can't imagine that being fun, but at any rate. When you're involved in what you love doing, it's fun. When you're contributing to a cause you believe in, it really is fun. And when you're doing things for other people, well, there's just not a better feeling. It is, in fact, fun. Wes Bartlett did that and became a standout by these roles as president of Kiwanis International with the responsibility, now I should say president of Kiwanis International with the responsibility for 355,000 members. Quite an achievement. As Dave pointed out, he miraculously managed 63 years and counting of perfect Kiwanian attendance. And he has over 15 special recognition awards, including Island of the Year, Who's Who in America, and an honorary degree of law from Parsons College in 1973. Wes has participated, are you ready for this, in over 50 active memberships in government and civic organizations throughout his life. What this man has accomplished in a life staggers the imagination. I think he's just something, and if you will, nothing short of amazing. He maintained, and he continued by saying that Parsons gave me superior preparation for the life after graduation. I graduated from one of the most respected biology departments in the Midwest, and through religion classes at Parsons, I became a substitute preacher throughout the state of Iowa. My orator skills were honed and provided me extraordinary speaking skills. I have a message for all of you, he maintains. Lift yourself up physically and spiritually. Experience the joy of getting involved and helping others. It's a reward like none other. It pays a lifetime of memorable experiences and the knowledge that you have made a better world for generations to come. Humbly, he said to me at the conclusion of our conversation, I'm especially thankful I have done enough good things in my life to be eligible to receive this recognition. I love Parsons and I treasure this honorary award. For medical reasons, as Dave announced to you, Mr. Bartlett cannot be with us, unfortunately, but accepting his award is Kiwanis Regional Lieutenant Governor and Fairfield member, Jeff Northridge. Jeff, would you come up, please? Jeff would like to have the opportunity to say a few words.
Wes Bartlett dedicated his life to serving and helping others, and he did that primarily through his work with Kiwanis International, of which he was elected president in 1971. As president of Kiwanis, one of the things that very much concerned Wes was drug abuse, primarily by young children. And on March 14th of 1972, Wes was invited to the White House to meet with President Nixon to discuss his concerns and discuss what Kiwanis could do to help with this problem. As Wes was waiting to see the president, the secretary said, President Nixon has just gotten back from China and is soon leaving for Russia, so most people get maybe 6 minutes, but he's rushed today, so don't expect to have more than 3 minutes with the president. Well, President Nixon ended up talking with Wes for 23 minutes in the Oval Office, and then he took Wes out for a personal tour of the Rose Garden. I think it put the president well behind his schedule for the rest of the day, but President Nixon obviously thought that Wes's ideas and what Kiwanis could do would be a major benefit to the country. Several years ago, the Nebraska-Iowa district of Kiwanis, in recognition of Wes's outstanding leadership of Kiwanis and his life of service in general, created something called the Bartlett Fellowship. The Bartlett Fellowship is something that is awarded to outstanding Kiwanis members in the Nebraska-Iowa district. As a Bartlett Fellow myself, it is especially meaningful for me to be here today to accept this on behalf of Wes, and I look forward to taking the plaque to Algona and presenting it at one of his upcoming Kiwanis meetings. Thank you.
There's little fat in Dr. Bob Scott's daily schedule. He tends to and oversees 2,000 patients in the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area and travels to Zimbabwe 4 times a year, treating scores of others. Yesterday afternoon, we received an email from his friend, Big Lou Wilson, who is also on the painted wall on the side, saying that Dr. Scott was having to be hospitalized for situation, he would not be able to attend today. So I'm honored to give a little bit of the background and then introduce a gentleman who is a Parsons grad, Parsons faculty member, who will receive the award. Dr. Robert C. Scott III, Parsons, 1963. From the time he was a young man, he wanted to be a doctor, he wanted to be involved in medicine and have a career with that. He had an opportunity in the California area to do this. He chose the Oakland, the San Francisco Bay Area, and he had a chance to teach at a community college. He traveled to Palo Alto and completed residency at Stanford University Hospital. Later, he shifted to a private practice, and about 2,000 patients, as I mentioned, and 400 of them are involved with HIV and AIDS. We are so proud to be able to recognize these folks from around the country, and especially when they step up to the international level. Dr. Scott has expanded his efforts worldwide and received a medical license to practice in Zimbabwe, as I mentioned earlier. He travels there 4 times a year and has become a specialist licensed, in fact, the only licensed African-American AIDS specialist in that region. At this time, I would like to request that one of his good friends and colleagues, Robert Fox, please join me at the stage to receive the award for Dr. Scott.
I don't want to misrepresent myself. Although I did not know Dr. Scott, he and I had the pleasure of working together working at the same community college, Laney College in Oakland, California. But his reputation is widely known in California and throughout the West. And it is indeed a pleasure to be here to receive the award on his behalf. Thank you.
From a Parsons Wildcat cheerleader in 1969 to funeral director, teacher, senator, and mayor. Take your pick. She's been all of the above. There's no stress in her life. Her biggest concern outside of getting to Fairfield today were simply winning an intense election campaign this next month and figuring out how she's going to fund a budget big enough to buy salt to keep the roads of Dayton, Ohio clear this winter. No problem. She's with us today. Introducing now Mayor of Dayton, Ohio, Ryan McClinn, class of '69, former Parsons College administrative member, Robert Fox.
Good morning again. It is wonderful indeed to be here in Fairfield to participate in this Parsons College Hall of Honor ceremony. When David Hetzler, class of 1967, called me several weeks ago and asked me if I would be willing to present our dear friend Ryan McClinn for induction into the Parsons College Hall of Honor, I responded with an emphatic and enthusiastic yes. However, with the stipulation that 30 years of marriage had taught me, I said, "But David, I will first have to talk with Sandy." I knew this honoree both as a student and a friend. However, my recollection of her are based on our contact during my service in the Dean of Students' office. During that time, my job description often included the clause, and David Hubler is here today, we work together, and he can verify this. In the absence of the Dean of Women, he will also serve in that capacity. And some pondered that it was something like having the fox guard the hen house. I remember her fondly as an energetic, outgoing, fun-loving, and academically focused student who always presented herself as a lady, but you never knew what she was going to do or say next. I still recall the persistence with which she demanded my assistance in contacting basketball phenom Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain in order to propose marriage. Her efforts culminated in my office on the second floor of Carnegie Hall, which I'm told no longer exists, when we agreed that she should send Mr. Chamberlain a marriage proposal by certified mail. With the benefit of hindsight possessed only by deans, I can say now that his failure to respond was a true blessing. While at Parsons, she was active in the Spanish Club, student government, BSU, and cheerleading. And after suing the sororities for membership, she founded an organization for African American women and served as its president until she graduated in 1969. She went on to earn a master's degree in education with emphasis in guidance and counseling from Xavier University in Cincinnati, and an associate degree in mortuary science. Her career has included teaching at the university level, management of her family's funeral home, and public service. And I'd just like to highlight her public service career for you. Her public service career began with the death of her father, C.J. McLean II, when he died, and she assumed his seat as a member of the Ohio House of Representatives in 1988. After being elected in her own right in 1992, she was elected to the Ohio State Senate in 1994, and during her second term in the Senate, she was named Majority Whip. When she termed out, she ran for the office of Mayor of Dayton, Ohio, and was elected in 2001. After being re-elected in 2005, she was elected to be the head of the Ohio Democratic Party. She is recognized by her constituents for her vision, compassion, integrity, and tireless efforts to improve the lives of all Daytonians. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a high honor and distinct pleasure to present this outstanding daughter of Parsons College for induction into the Hall of Honor. I give you the Honorable Ryan L. McClin, Parsons College, class of 1969, Mayor of the City of Dayton, Ohio.
I would like to say a very humble thank you and an unexpected thank you, but one of the things I have to say about Parsons College, coming from a segregated community to being exposed to Parsons College in Fairfield, Iowa, truly prepared my life for what it's turned out to be. But one thing that I find that Parsons College really did for me was it allowed me to have creativity, that there was something, no matter what you really thought in Parsons College, you could probably find someone that would support you to do it. And that is why I did choose to want to marry Wilt Chamberlain. Because Parsons College gave me that freedom to do and think whatever I wanted to do. But it is probably to my advantage and his disadvantage that he chose not to answer my letter. Thank you so much.
If you're looking for a Parsons t-shirt, here's your man. If it's back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, you were looking for the latest in fashion, perhaps an apartment or a job, here is your man. And if today you're looking for one of those most solid pillars of this community, Lee Gobble is also your man. Here to present our next inductee, Mr. Lee Gobble, class of 1937, is his good friend, Dr. Robert Tree.
I'm not sure just what one says about a community icon.